In this age of new normal, online is not your only option. Because new normal means new learning modalities and new learning possibilities. Let Vibal make learning offline possible with Smart Class. Smart Class contains pre-made daily modules sequenced according to DepEd's budgeted teaching and learning calendar. Each module has a specific lesson duration and has day markers to guide parents and teachers in the asynchronous learning of learners. Inside the modules available in Smart Class, you will find the following elements. First, learning competencies are identified in the module openers. Kickstarters are available to test students' prior knowledge on the subject matter. This set of activities, found at the beginning of each lesson, may also serve as motivational activities. Parents of preschool to grade 2 students will also find notes to parents which contain tips and pointers on how they can guide their child while learning at home. Redefine your students' learning experience with the integration of augmented reality technology into images and illustrations available in Smart Class, making learning more interactive and exciting. At the end of each module, Long Quiz is also available to assess students' understanding of the lesson. Smart Class also features Wrap Up, a lesson ender activity that applies the constructivism theory of learning. In Wrap Up, students are expected to summarize the lesson on their own using a graphic organizer. You may also evaluate the quality of your students' learning by letting them practice their learning in real life through GRASP's formatted performance tasks. The content of Smart Class is designed for the entire academic year, and it is available for 5 major subjects. All aligned with DepEd's K-12 curriculum and covers the most essential learning competencies prescribed by DepEd. Secure your own copy of Smart Class before classes open. Contact marketing@vibalgroup.com to know more.
Good evening, Kavibal, and welcome to our Learn at Home webinar sessions. For tonight's discussion, our topic would be on Vibal Modular Distance Learning, a practical guide for teachers and parents using Smart Class. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session, and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAsOnePH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our session this evening, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker. In Condensed, he worked as a college professor for both undergraduate and graduate levels at Philippine Normal University, focused on module development, student research and extension programs from 2004 to 2009. Then he became the editor-in-chief of Aklat at Dunong Publishing from 2009 to 2011, where he was tasked to benchmark instructional materials in and from Singapore and contextualize it to the Philippine setting. After that, he was taken in the Department of Education's central office as consultant, designer, and writer for the K-12 program for Universal Kindergarten and English curriculum and evaluator for TLE modules for grade 7 and 8. Also, he was taken as consultant and writer for English grade 3 module, which was to serve as a model for all modules development for English grades 4 to 6. In 2014, he was taken in by United States Assistance for International Development, or the USAID, as language consultant through RTI PhilEd data in the contextualization of early grade reading assessment, or the EGRA, for grade 3 and early grade assessment for mathematics assessment for Waray-Waray language, which are now commonly known as early language, literacy, and numeracy as and numeracy assessment for grade 1. After this, he was taken in by the Education Assessment Division as consultant in the development and validation of National Entry Assessment for grades 4, 7, and 11, and exit assessments for grades 6, 10, and 12 on campus journalism program of the Department of Education. While having all of these independent consultancy projects in DepEd and other private school associations in the country, he was serving the Sisters of Mary Schools Philippine Administrative Research and Development Center as their academic and curriculum consultant. Moreover, he is one of the top 10 reading and preschool specialists in the Philippines and in a sought after resource speaker, lecturer, and consultant to various seminars and conferences here and abroad. He was one of the invited plenary speakers at the 50th Regional Language Center, Singapore, with the theme Transcending Boundaries in Language Learning, Language Arts, and ELT across the curriculum. He has written various books, modules, let review materials for the Philippine Normal University and for other colleges and universities all over the country. He graduated with a Bachelor of Early Childhood Education degree cum laude and a certificate in reading specialization, recipient of Service and Leadership Award. He received his Master of Arts in Teaching with specialization in reading at the Philippine Normal University, outstanding reading graduate. He took PhD in Reading Education at PNU and took PhD in English Studies units at the University of Santo Tomas, Manila. And now finishing PhD in Curriculum and Instruction at the Philippine Normal University, Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our speaker for tonight, Brother Roderick Aguirre, PhD.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, educators. And I'm pretty sure there are also parents out there who are following this feed. So today I'm going to talk about positive discipline, focusing more on how to create a schedule at home to maximize the materials and the modules you will be using for the learning of your students at home. Either these modules you personally purchase from the publishing houses, or these are the modules that the private schools that you enroll your children in are requiring you to use at home. All right. So to make sure that we maximize these materials, and we pay for it, and it's not that cheap. So it is important that we maximize the use of it. Although if your kids are and your students are enrolled in a school, I think the school already created a schedule for your kids to follow. But if not yet, I think this is also a way for schools and for parents to learn that it is this how you're supposed to do when you come up with a homeschool schedule. All right. So let me first share my screen with you as my guide for the presentation this afternoon. Please be reminded that my presentation on positive discipline will be 3 parts. My part 1 for tonight, would be more of creating a homeschool schedule to maximize the materials. And I will be unboxing another set of modules from Vibal, which is called the Smart Class. I'll be showing it to you later on. And I will use the series on Learn at Home, which I unboxed just this Monday. And then we're going to see how we can complement the lessons in the Learn at Home modules with the Smart Class. And then on the second part, that will be on Friday evening, probably I'm asking for an earlier schedule, probably 6:30 if it's okay with you, so that we don't end late, and it's an evening, especially if you have activities planned for your family with your family. So we can have them on Friday. But the second part on Friday will be focusing more on positive discipline through the development of executive functions for cognitive behavior management. And then I will be unboxing another series of modules from Vibal. And then I will be demonstrating how we can complement all these modules together, because the more materials that are available, the better. And then by next week, perhaps on Monday, I will end my discussion on positive discipline on the afternoon, looking more on how can we come up with a discipline management approach at home without necessarily penalizing our kids with certain behaviors that are untoward and not supportive of the learnings at home that should be done at school. All right. So before I begin, I would like to give a shout out. This were requests from me since Monday that I have not done and obliged yet. So tonight I'll be giving a shout out to the following people and some groups though. So shout out to my relatives are also teachers and educators from Sugod, Leyte. With my ate Olivia Oliva Obos. Hi, shout out to you, ate. To my kuya Inoy Dicen from Sorsogon. To his better half, si ate Martes Dicen. And of course, to Dennis Balonso from the SMS Boys Town Adlas and all the teachers from Adlas, Ma'am Nelsie from Adlas Boys Town, and some of the teachers from the Girls Town too. So we have Marian, teacher Marian from San Pablo, Laguna. And my former students, of course, my former students in the undergrad and the graduate levels of Philippine Normal University and from the De La Salle University Das Marinas. So that's about it. So thank you very much, Kia, for allowing me to give shout outs to people who wanted a shout out tonight. So let's talk about positive discipline in everyday teaching and learning. And my subtitle here, if we just read it, it says, helping teachers and parents, of course, improve the behavior of their students in the classroom by providing them with different strategies and techniques. And mind you, when we talk about classroom here, we're talking about here the classroom that you designated at home. The home now becomes the learning environment or the classroom in which our students will be utilizing the materials that the school will be forwarding to you. Or there's also possibility that parents can purchase modules independently. I think all you have to do is just browse over the internet. Later on, I'll be giving you the links from Bibal where you can shop and look at the materials and the modules that are already available for you to use at home. The more materials that you can use, the more learning I think can be done at home. So let's proceed. So my part one discussion on positive discipline, the new normal. Today we'll focus more on which should be schedule. Positive discipline through, let me change that. I think I can change that. Through home scheduling. All right. There we go. Now, let's have the following types of learners or kids or students or even children you have at home. So there's a possibility that your students move from one behavior to another. So especially at home, you will find out that their behavior change at a certain hour of the day to a certain hour in the evening and so on and so forth. It's not consistently always excellent or not always the kind of behavior we want them to behave or exude. The problem there perhaps is that certain atmosphere is not created well to have a consistency of such behaviors. But these are certain behaviors that I'm showing to you that your kids will be showing off while they are learning at home. So sometimes they do misbehave. So we call them misbehaving learners. How do we deal with that? Now, there would be such time in the day that your kids will be creative thinkers. They would start making drawings, or they can start scribbling on their notepads or their tablets, or even on the walls. All right, and sometimes they would even like watch television and even talk to themselves or get a toy and then do play. For some adults, perhaps they would if they have guitars, they would have a guitar playing. Or for some kids who are into online gaming, they would go for Dota, or using the cell phone, they would go for Mobile Legends or League of Legends. And nonetheless, it should be part of the schedule. Again, remember whatever they have been doing at home during the quarantine, we integrate that to the schedule of the learning. It should not be strictly too much more of the use of the modules and the use of the online materials. Otherwise, students will feel so constricted that the home became more of strictly learning and there's no more fun. So we need to come up with a schedule where we balance out their personal activities, the fun in it, and of course integrating what they're supposed to learn using the modules and the online materials that the schools will be forwarding to you or be airing out, or probably again the materials that you will be independently buying from other publishing houses and other educational institutions. So creative thinkers, some of them will be logical thinkers, will be asking lots of questions, like especially for the younger ones, what they do is that they ask a lot of questions. And when you respond back, when you answer, and the answer elicits another question from your kids. And that's normal. And I think that's also normal. It's a quite normal in a school setup, but it will become more prevalent at home. You would see that there are strings of questions. But what I want you to do as parents and educators at home is that never shut down kids because they're asking questions that you think are nonsensical and you think questions that do not make sense. When your kids ask questions, that means there's something happening in the minds of your kids. And if there are continuously thinking about it, meaning learning is taking place. So if you shut down their questions, it's like telling them directly or indirectly that stop thinking and saying stop learning. Right? Remember that learning basically happens inside the brain, and manifestations of kids' question are good indication or indicator that they're actually starting to think. That's what we call as imbalance of the brain, of the processing, the mental processing, and that's a positive indicator. So do not stop that. Now, there are a lot of parents that when they answer questions from their kids, they philosophize. Or ang ginagawa nila, for me, sorry to shift to Filipino, niloloko. Remember pag ginawa mong joke, ang sagot, sa tingin ng bata yun na yun, ang tama mong sagot. And then, nakuha na nila. So, sinong sisisihin natin? Unlike if the teacher is there, if it's in the school, and then they ask questions, the teacher will be there to answer the questions. But at home, again, as I've said this morning, the teacher is not present at home, and more often than not, if not always, the parents and the primary caregivers at home will be the ones that will be bombarded with the questions coming from your children. So that will be logical thinkers. Again, asking questions from kids is a good positive indicator that learning is taking place. Next, we have high achieving learners. Some of the students who are too much, they want to keep the whole day. They would just want to listen to the online feed, to keep on reading modules. Wait, not too much. We have to strike a balance between having fun and being kids and being individuals and learning at the same time. Remember, this is home. We're talking about learning at home, and we want them to see the home as both where they learn and at the same time who they can be as individuals and members of the family. If it becomes totally more of just learning, you take away the fun, you take away the development of individual as a learner and as an individual person. I think kids get burned out immediately. They will hate learning. They will hate opening the books. They will hate opening the online feeds. So do not push your kids too much to study all the time. What's the key element there would be come up with really good schedule. If you want a higher percentage on the learning process for your kids, fine, but there should still be a percentage of time, daily time for your kids to have fun, to open a book, a leisure book, to open the television and watch, to play their toys, to chat with their friends if they're adults, to call their friends, and so on and so forth. All right. Another one would be high ability learners. A lot of kids who would be tinkering with their things, especially at school. There are a lot of manipulatives, and especially for science, that they have experiments. I think at home it would be a huge problem when experiments cannot be done, but high ability learners can be engaged in what we call as online activities and laboratories. I'm not sure if Vibal has all of this, has this application, but I've heard before that they have those. So you may want to check that and visit their website and look at it if you can, enlist those applications that Vibal has already developed for your high ability learners. Okay. Next, you have high-performing learners. Well, like they want to dance, they want to sing, and so on. Again, do not stop them from singing. Do not stop them from making, from singing, from acting, from shouting. Again, have a time for it. Have the time for it in the day and make it a schedule so that that's exactly the time they're going to do high-performing activities. All right. So with that being said, positive discipline is actually encouraging our students to learn, but at the same time, at home, positive discipline at home development is coming up with a good schedule for our learners to become individuals and to become learners at the same time. And the tricky part there is that research would show that some kids they optimize their learning at a certain hour of the day, an hour in the afternoon. You may want to look into that. Later on, perhaps I can send the research on that to Vibal so that they can, those who would like to read that will be able to disseminate that. But if you have enough time, you can browse over the Google and then just research it at the best time for learning, morning or afternoon. Research shows that students have optimized learning after 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So probably you can have your schedule around 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning. That's why I'm so against a schedule where students wake up so early in the morning. And what happens is that the first subject in the morning would be the subject that kids would, basically forget all the lessons that they got for that day. And what happens is that every day, the teacher for that first subject will be keeping on reviewing the lessons because, again, it's at the time where kids are still, waking up. Their brains are still waking up towards, such information, such activity. But anyway, if kids have been already trained, especially in the public school, to wake up early in the morning, then fine. I have nothing against that, but probably data would show something against that practice. All right. So let's now talk about positive discipline in general, and then later on we come up with how we schedule that. All right. Just monitoring my time. It's already 7:20. I've talked a lot. I'm supposed to be just 30 minutes. All right. Wait, sorry, I'm done with that. So positive discipline in definition generally means the positive discipline approach rejects the use of violence as a teaching tool. The one that I discussed last Monday, and there was a question whether that I think the viewer was not in agreement with what I said. Yes, what I'm saying here, the Darius approach, teaching discipline firmly and strictly by following certain schedule of the day, by not actually resorting to violence. I'm totally against violence in educating and instilling discipline to kids. For me, for them to be disciplined is for you to be able to come up with a schedule and follow the schedule. But word of caution though, when you come up with a schedule for them, then you will have to support that. When you say they're supposed to wake up at 5 o'clock, just saying, I'm not saying 5 o'clock is too much. They wake up at 5 o'clock, so then you have to be awake too. The key element of positive discipline is that kids, when they follow the schedule, they see the adults, the primary caregiver, doing the schedule as well. So that's the challenge. We're gonna do that in a while though. So let's read this. Rather than enforcing good behavior through fear, the teacher or the parent or parents play the role of mentor and guide, and they make a long-term investment in child's development. By doing positive discipline, kids get to trust the parents and the educators na, sorry to shift to Filipino po hindi lang pala, kaya pala kailangan ko sundin ang aking schedule kasi pati mga magulang ko sumusunod sa schedule. Hindi yung, bakit pinagbabawalan niyo kumood ng TV sa ganitong oras, nanonood pala kayo ng TV. Di ba? So pag sinabi sa time na to, hindi manonood ng TV, dapat sinabihan yung mga magulang tsaka miyembro ng pamilya na, dapat walang TV sa araw na to. Si ate kasi walang schedule. Wait, dapat sinama mo si ate sa scheduling. Otherwise, magkakaroon ng gap ng pagtuturo ng consistency ng behavior na yun. Alright? Sabi nga ni Hillary Clinton, a good friend of mine, but she doesn't know that she's a friend of mine, she said that it takes a village to educate a child. So ibig sabihin, the synergy of efforts of the people in the house would contribute greatly to the consistency of following the schedule and will have positive effect on the learning of the students, okay, especially on their behavior. In so doing, the approach only supports children's full development, but also improves the learning environment by eliminating fear, teaching children self-discipline, and encouraging greater pleasure and engagement in learning. Probably after a month or two, when you consistently follow the schedule, your kids will be the ones telling you, Mama, time ko na po magganito. Yun lang, kailangan nyo lang maging consistent. Pero 2 months po yun ang consistency. Okay? And once the students have been positively engaged in the schedule positively without, punishing them, but, walking with them with the schedule for 2 months, after 2 months, you will see that the kids will be the ones to be ones reminding you of their schedule. And once that happens, learning definitely is progressing. Okay? And it's smooth sailing all throughout the end of the school year. All right? Wag lang sisirain sana ang schedule, ha? All right? But if you're going to disrupt the schedule, say on second quarter, you have to sit down again with the kids and explain to them if there are certain changes with the schedule. All right? Next, positive discipline is about long-term solutions that develop students' self-discipline and their lifelong learner. It is about clear and consistent communication and consistent reinforcement of your expectations, rules, and limitations. Okay, so pag sinabi nyo na bawal manood ng TV, bawal talaga manood ng TV. Kaysa magalit ka, patayin mo ang TV, tapos i-guide mo sila kung anong ginagawa nila dapat. Okay, hindi yung pinatay mo, sinigawan mo, tapos pinalo mo, ay wag pong ganun. Kasi ang magkakaroon po ng bata ng negative association to that time. Okay? And one way or the other, nawawala po sila ng trust sa'yo. So positive is definitely veering away from all the fear inculcation among our learners. So trust, build on trust and respect. That's what positive discipline is all about. Trust, love, and respect. All right? So how can we to do that is that, again, kung anong schedule na ginawa ninyo, dapat sinusunod. So for effective learning management to happen at home, the basis of that would be learning environment management. Last Monday evening, I told you that to do learning environment management is to clearly point out which parts of the house require certain behavior, right? Anong ginagawa sa kitchen, anong ginagawa sa dining, anong ginagawa sa sala, sa bedroom, anong ginagawa sa study area, sa play area, anong ginagawa sa backyard, and so on and so forth. If you do have a backyard. If you don't have a backyard, kasi paglabas mo na sa mga townhouse kayo, paglabas na pala ay street na pala, then you don't use as part of your scheduling or part of the environment. So importante kasi na effective learning is naklaro ano ang time at saan sila pupunta sa parte ng bahay. Alright? And once the places and the behavior and the function of the parts of the house have been clearly pointed out, and you have already oriented your kids with the help, of course, your from the teachers, from the schools that your kids have been enrolled in, papasok na ngayon ang positive discipline. Ito yung sinasabi natin na paggawa ng schedule and rules and regulations. Ano yung mga behavior na yon? All right? So one good example would be behaviors that I remember that when I did homeschooling before, when I was in preschool, may nursery kasi na panahon namin, tapos we have kinder. So ang ginagawa ng mother ko is that sinabihan siya ng mother namin na pag nagbubukas daw ng libro, mayroong certain way. So sa bahay, pagdating sa bahay, ang mami ko ang nagko-correct sa akin, pinapalo ang kamay ko. Siyempre, noong panahon namin, meron pang corporal punishment. So at that time, part of the discipline would be, corporal punishment. Pero ngayon, hindi na po dapat. Nagkaroon tuloy ako ng negative association on that. Anyway, nonetheless, okay pa rin naman akong tao ngayon. So mayroong way. So minsan, ang ginagawa ko pag nagpapasa ako, ganun ako. Ang ginagawa ng mami ko ay tinatabing niya ang kamay ko na ganito. The point is, at that time, hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit ginagawa ng mami ko, yung tinatabing niya yung kamay ko. Ang sinasabi ng positive discipline is, instead of physically using physical punishment, pwede mong sabihin, anak, huwag kang do not cradle your chin sa English. How do you say that in Filipino? Huwag kang manggalong baba or whatever. pag magbabasa ka kasi masisira yan. Huwag ka rin magbabasa na nakahiga kasi masisira din ang mata mo. So pag nagbasa ka, nakaganito ka, hawak mo siya. So i-demonstrate ni nanay kung paano. But remember, not all parents are educators. So therefore, the school and the teachers have a responsibility of educating, of orienting the parents on what are the standards and the rules of actually doing the behavior in a particular schedule and at home. Kung ang bata ay dapat nagbabasa, mayroong behavior kung paano magbasa. Okay? Paano ginagawa yun? I'll have a session perhaps on literacy practices, basic literacy practices at home para po paano ba magbukas, paano ba mag-engage ng pagbabasa sa mga bata at home na maano yung mga bata mainggan yung magbasa, especially if may module silang babasahin. I should be looking at the camera, not my face there. Okay? Balik ko lang itong micro na to. So these are the components of what we want to happen at home. So learning environment is very important. Clear out the parts of the house. What are the behaviors required of that? And then the effective learning management. Okay? So learning, just to define it, to summarize what I've discussed, so learning environment management means establishing a system of behavior standards, varied instructional strategies, and effective patterns of respect and social interaction to maximize student learning and enhances student self-esteem. So ibig sabihin, klaro lang kung ano dapat ang behavior. Kagaya natin po, pag nasa hapagkainan po tayo, alam natin kung paano tayo, ang behavior natin, hindi dapat sila naglalaro. So there's a certain behavior, a certain part, and certain activity in a certain part of the house, in a certain hour of the house. Okay? So here are some physical setup of the house before the first day. So dapat maayos niyo po na ito. Dapat meron kayong board decisions. Kung meron lang kayong mga reminders lang po sana, okay, na ilalagay sa... Ang ginawa ko sa mga pamangkin ko, meron akong whiteboard, tapos meron akong day na gagawin natin na maya-maya. Tapos nilalagay ko doon ko nung ginagawa. Ang ginawa ko iconic pictures. Kung sila ay mag-study, libro ang nakalagay doon. Kung sila po ay maglalaro, may mga toys and so on and so forth. So you may be creative about your making of the schedule. But kung gusto mo words naman po, okay lang din naman po. Depende yan sa mga anak ninyo o sa mga estudyante ninyo. Alright? Next would be make any needed signs for the room. So kung dati walang mga signs po ang bahay ninyo, i-approximate nyo po ang kagaya ng school. Dapat nakalagay po doon ay toilet. Tapos may mga reminders, please flash after use. Huwag naman yung flash na A, hindi yung yung A yung ginalagay, hindi yung U. Nakalagay din po na dining table, may mga chairs. Kung ano ang, kung if the school, the parts of the school and the things in the school are labeled, you'll have to approximate that at home. I know it's a huge lift and responsibility for parents and teachers together in creating a conducive atmosphere at home, but you'll have to do it. You'll have to do it to make sure that you match of your students. Otherwise, sayang po yung binibili yung mga libro. Kung hindi naman nila bubuksan sa schedule, sa ginawa yung schedule sa araw na yon. So dapat gawan lang natin ng tama ha. Again, so signs, very important. Pwede namang hindi words, pwede namang icons lang. Again, be creative about it. Kayo pong makakasunod. And then maganda po yan ay kasama niyo yung mga anak ninyo na pagpo-post. Okay, parang learning process na yun. Anak, kung ito po ay ito ay picture ng ng lalaki at babae, saan natin lalagay yan? Nakalagay dito pagpasok at paglabas, saan natin lalagay yan? Nakalagay dito chair, saan natin siya ilalagay? It becomes a game. Alright? Game of association, word and concept association. Next, organized room or house layouts. Pwede kang pakita sa mga bata na, ito yung para bang school map kung saan sila pupunta. Ganito ha. Nakalagay doon sa schedule mo pag nag-study ka, itong part ng house ang pupuntahan mo ha. And so on so forth. So parang klaro kung saan sila pupunta. It's like making a schedule of your house, of the parts of your house. So dapat may layout ka kung saan sila pupunta. Alright? Kaya yung mga pamangkin ko na sana yan, Uncle, it's my playtime. Of course, yes. Where do you go when you play? In the play area. Where should be the toys be? Do you bring the toys in the dining area? No, Uncle, you said we only play in the play area and all our toys should be there. Very good. So when you play, I told you that when you play, it's okay to make a mess. But after playing, what do you do afterwards with your toys? Sabi ng mga pamangkin ko, Uncle, we're going to keep and arrange our toys. Hindi na ako mag-aayos. Nasanay sila pero on the first few weeks, pinapakita sa tapos na kayo maglaro. Let's put them back, okay? Okay. So, iminomodel mo sa kanila kung paano ginagawa. Ang ginagawa ng mga magulang ay araw-araw, ano ba, puro laro ng laro. Tapos, hindi naman lang tinatago ang mga laro. Daldal lang nagdaldal, pero siya ang nag-aayos. Oh, that's wrong. Maling-mali. Sa utak ng mga bata, ikaw naman pala mag-aayos. So, bakit ko kailangan ayusin? Magagalit ka nga, pero ikaw naman mag-aayos. No, huwag kang magalit. Gawin mong play ang paglalaro. O anak ha, mag-aaral tayo ngayon, magbabasa na tayo. Tapos ka na, di ba? Kasi tapos ka naman na maglaro. So it's time for you to open the book. Yan. Alright? So that's organized material. So yung mga materials ay nandun lang sa mga places na yon. Okay? Number 6, organize materials according to identified classification, content areas, sub-areas, and domains. So, mas magandang classified po yun. It's like in the school. Nasa na mga reference na materials sa library, nasa na mga pang-experiment, nasa science laboratory, nasa na mga manipulatives for mathematics, nasa mathematics laboratory, and so on and so forth. So, in like manner, if the school has those kind of organization, that's what we're going to do at home as well, to maximize, again, all the materials that we have. All right? So, let's now have a workshop. So just this Monday, I talked about the Vival Learn at Home series. Okay, these are modules already, and remember, I already checked it, and then if it's aligned with the MELCs, it is, and it's in module format, and it has guidelines. So if you want to listen more about this, I already had a discussion on it last time around, and durability, but it's for people for the people of some viewers who are just tuning in right now. So, mamaya natin tingnan. So, kunwari ito yung schedule natin, So, meron ka lang schedule na ganyan, okay, just a sample. So, anong gagawin sa Monday, okay? So, tingnan po natin to. Ito yung module po na galing sa Vival, Nakalagay po dito ay sa kanyang table of contents, you have English lessons, Filipino lessons, Araling Panlipunan, and Math lessons. So, ang ginawa ko dito po ay MWF. So, ang gagawin ko po ang MWF English, Filipino, English. Dapat ang language ang titinan ko. Apat siya. English, Filipino, Araling Panlipunan. So, gagawin ko dito ay, unahin ko muna ang, so 6 a.m. siguro ay morning rituals. Ano yung mga morning rituals siguro ay rituals, pagligo, pagkain. Hindi nakikita ba nila yung aking sinusulat? Morning rituals, you can probably have also bullet it like taking a bath, making the bed, brushing the teeth, and so on and so forth. So just, ilagay lang din yan. Kung ayaw mo ng words, you can, have icons and pictures there to make it more creative para medyo attractive sa mga bata. Again, there's no such thing as dapat voice lang talaga. Kayo po, ano pong maganda, creative sa inyo po. Alright? So next, we have 8 to 9 a.m. Siguro I will have a session on, would have English lessons. Alright? Tapos pagdating naman 9 o'clock to 10 a.m., I would have perhaps here, another one would be, sorry, I would go for science. And then 10 a.m. would be personal, free, ako lang po ito yung ginawa ko sa mga pamangkin ko dati nung sila, sa kabata. Free time nila. So the free time could be, they have a choice. Watch television, TV, or play with toys. So, mayroon silang choice. Okay, may choice sila kung gagawin sa free time. Ngayon, kung meron ka pang maraming ginagawa silang gagawin doon, so pwede ka magdagdag na magdagdag. So 11 to 12, perhaps I can now have continuation of, so I would have English supplement, enhancement lessons. So sinabi ko English enhancement lesson, dahil dito ko gamitin yung English lessons ko as backbone, and then I have enhancement from Smart Class. Where's my Smart Class? English. Here. meron akong smart class na nandito yung mga activity sheets. Ang ganda po niya. This is from Bibal again, Smart Class English 2, which complements MELC na po siya and complements whatever module, online modules that you have or other modules that you already prescribe them to use. Ang maganda dito kasi meron silang mga activity sheets and colored po siya. And then meron ng how to answer. So there are already formative assessment sheets and there are also summative assessment sheets here that you can use. All right? At meron na ring guide for parents and educators to give feedback. Ito yung sinasabi ko ng umaga, yung giving a feedback to the parents. So pagdating dito sa English enhancement, ano yung materials na gagamitin? Pero sabihin natin, Vibal Class Smart. Vibal Class Smart. Dito ilalagay mo sa English lessons, open close parenthesis would be learn at home too. Learn at home too. Kung grade 2 po ito, syempre, alam naman, grade 2 ginamit mong material na backbone sa kanyang sa module, tapos ang supplement mo naman ay nagamitin mo ay grade 3. Ay, naglolokohan po tayo. Alright? But my point here is that no matter how many materials you use, the more materials you have, the more multisensorial the materials are. So hindi lang po modules per se, pwede rin po mga coloring books as supplementary. You can also have audio materials. I think Vibal has this podcast that can be used as supplementary materials. They also have videos that can be used as supplementary materials. You can mesh them together, pero ilalagay mo sa schedule, kailan nga po yun. Ano? So pagdating ng 12 to 1:30, I would have here lunchtime and rest time. Okay, or siesta. Tapos Tuesday, wag na natin sundin para you get the idea. Tuesday, I would have math lessons. Siguro ito ay pare-pareho ito 6 to 7, so consistently yan, merge. I think that's how you do it, merge po. Tama pa? Feeling techie lang kasi talaga ako. Alright, so pagdating ng Tuesday, instead of my science lesson, I would now go for English. Instead of having English lessons, I would now have Filipino lessons using Learn at Home. Learn at Home. Okay. 2. Tapos you have here math lessons. And so on and so forth. I think you got the idea there. Okay. Let's just look at natin. Iya, pwede bang ako ay i-full i-full mo ako sa screen? I'm just asking my moderator if I can have a full screen na pakita yung libro. Ano ba yan? Anyway, so sa libro na to, open ko po this is Vibal Learn at Home. Nakalagay po dito sa table of contents. Let's say here we have Araling Panlipunan. Ang nakalagay dito ay ang aking komunidad. So sa Araling Panlipunan, say sa 8 o'clock wala pang schedule. Kunwari na schedule ako dito ang nakalagay ay Araling Panlipunan ng 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Ang nakalagay dito ay aking komunidad. Okay? So punta po tayo sa page 186. Page 186. Okay. So, ito ang babasahin ng mga bata. Or i-guide mo mga bata para basahin po ito. Alright? Yan. Nagagawin sila as their main lesson. Alright? So, actually, yung 1 hour, sobrang tagal na po yun. Siguro mga 13 minutes would be enough for students kasi meron pang namang enhancement. So, pagkatapos nila gamitin nila ito, pupunta naman sila sa science lesson. Sa grade 2, isang libro lang to eh. So, science lesson nila, they're going to go back to table of contents, titingnan nila ang science lesson kasi ito yung backbone niya. Okay? Science lessons, tapos nakalagay ito 371, change lang niya. Ang kagandahan sa module na ganito kasi isa lang ang bubuksan ng bata sa certain hour instead of kung iba-ibang subject, iba-ibang modules. Ang daunting sa mga bata. Minsan kasi, di ba, nung mga bata tayo, pag nagbabasa tayo ng libro, sabihin lang, ang kapal-kapal naman yan, ayoko na mabuksan yan. Hindi anak, ito kasing module na to, makapal siya, pero nandyan lahat ng modules. Sa schedule natin ng 8 to 9 o'clock, nandito yan lahat sila. Oo. Pagdating mo naman sa pagdating mo naman sa 11 AM, mag-enhancement ka. Titingnan natin kung i-extend natin natutunan mo sa librong 'yon, sa module na 'yon. So titingnan natin kung nagma-match. So ang nangyari po, ang table of contents, nakalagay po doon ay is Araling Panlipunan, sorry, it's English. Araling Panlipunan. Nakalagay po dito sa Araling Panlipunan sa table of contents. Siguro kailangan ko ng camera, di ba? Baka naman makapag-donate kayo ng camera dito at saka ring light sa akin. O kung sino man pwede mag-donate sa akin para makita po para may mga camera. Anyway, so nakalagay ito ang komunidad. Nagmamatch ang kanyang first lesson dito sa supplementary material ng module ng Vibal na Smart Class na magsusupplement doon sa ginamit ko na backbone module na Learn at Home. Bakit po? Ang kagandahan po niyan is that again, gusto namin i-extend ng mga magulang ang learning or educators ang learning ng mga bata, it's another time devoted for planning. Magsusulat na naman si teacher. O kung hindi na magsusulat si teacher, ang mga magulang maghahanap. So it's a waste of time, especially right now with the coming school year, tapos pandemic, ang hirap maghanap ng mga materials and Google. And what's good thing about published is that it has already been edited and went through a process that made sure that all the information here are all fact, okay, and consistent with acceptable information. Alright? So nagmamatch siya ngayon, ito gagamitin ng bata. So alam niya yung oras, itong gagamitin niya sa ganitong oras, nandito lahat ng subject, tapos nandito naman siya sa another time for enhancement. Pero huwag mo sabihin sa bata yung enhancement, basta yun ang mangyayari. Pagdating sa hapon, nandun yung mga supplement naman ng mga audio, tsaka visuals, para nakaklaro ko. Okay? So mayroong klarong pagkakatuto. Hindi siya dapat magkikagaya ng regular school na ang bawat araw, lahat ng subjects nandun. Dapat parang kagaya ng college ang scheduling po natin na MWF, PTH, nakaschedule ang bata. Kaya ang ginawa ng Department of Education, binawasan ang mga learning competencies para magkaroon ng in-depth learning. Okay? Again, you can do that in the private schools, but the public school po, kung ano na pagdesisyonan po ng central office na schedule at saka na-contextualize ng region at division, wala po tayong magawa yung schedule na ginagawa ninyo. Unless of course you write a letter or your division office and the regional office come up with a more creative way to do that, at inaprubahan po ng central office, pwede pong gawin naman yun. But again, it has to go through channels. Pero sa private schools, you have many creative ways how to do it to support the learning at home. Pwede yung, kaya mga magulang out there, what you can do is always connect with the teachers in the schools where your kids are enrolled para makagawa man ng magandang schedule sa bahay ninyo. But remember, when you come up with a schedule for positive development, kailangan klaro, may time ng paglalaro, may time ng kanyang para sa sarili, at may time ng pag-aaral. Alright? So, I as much as I would like to discuss in thorough creating schedules, there are many design for schedule. Kaya pinakita ko na lang kung paano ginagawa. Parang nag-hands-on na lang ako kung paano ginagawa. So you can do that at home. So sana ito po ay nasa isang malaking whiteboard. Kung hindi man whiteboard po, pwede mga corkboards ilalagay mo. Ngayon kung wala namang corkboard, or Manila paper, if you like the Manila paper, pwede gawin yun. Huwag lang naman sulat sa wall, no? Although, siguro, pwede mong pinturahan na lang later. But again, I'm not in the liberty to dictate to you how you're going to create the schedule and where are you going to post it. Okay? The point is, the schedule that you create at home will be your basis now for instilling positive. Remember, the positive discipline through scheduling is making sure that the students have a balance of personal things that they want to do because still is a home, but at the same time, they have time to go about the learning. All right? So let me go back to just a short description of our Smart Class modular work text. So it's already in modular format. So description po natin dito sa ating nag-unbox kasi ako kanina ng Smart Class. So salamat po Vibal for sending me the Smart Class. I have science here. I have science Smart Class. I have mathematics, Araling Panlipunan. Everything were developed excellently na hindi talagang supplementary ang dating talaga at saka modular talaga, and it's durable and it's colored. Okay, it says here aligned with the DepEd's K-12 curriculum, Smart Class K-10. So if you have kinder, pwede niyong bisitahin po, kinder po, up to grade 10 din. Presents daily lessons with performance tasks, good for entire school year. Available in 5 different subjects. We have science, math, English, Filipino, and social studies. These pre-printed daily lessons aim to guide parents in teaching their children at home while ensuring that the lessons cover the key curricular areas and learning concepts prescribed by the Department of Education. Naka-align po talaga siya. So, if you would like, just to give you some other tips, ito po yung mga general steps in evaluating and selecting instruction materials. So, unang-una, check for durability and desirability of instruction material. So, durability po, itatag-tatag nyo po kung talagang maayos ang pagkaka-stitch or pagkakadikit ng mga pages kasi ayaw ng mga bata yung madaling mag-iiyak na, especially kung the younger they are. Mama, my book is already destroyed. Sabi ng mga pamangkin ko. Alright? It's busted. Yes. They feel so sad about it. So, mas maganda sanang durable at binili nyo nga naman talaga yan, and then it's colorful. It has to be desirable for kids to open at there's what we call as the wow factor. Right? Next, identify the standards for viewing each unit of instructional material. So, bubuksan nyo ngayon ng MLCs at titingnan nyo, i-juxtapose po tayo sa table of contents, titingnan nyo kung nagda-drive po doon ang mga topics identified and the learning content standards. Nakalagay po yung mga content at ang context, ang topic doon naka-embed po sa content standard. So, madali lang po, titingnan natin yung juxtapose. Alright? Next, we prioritize the standards. Ang titingnan po natin, napasok po at kung nandito po ay 100%, although pwede pong mas sobra pa, mas maganda ang sobra, sa ibinigay ng standards ng Department of Education. Next, review what students should understand or be able to do. Tingnan po natin, baka naman po too wordy, too much information, supplement nga po siya, modular. Mas maganda siguro pag may mga picture kasi yung mga bata po ngayon, they are more engaged in visual elements in a particular material. So mas maganda pag colored po talaga. Alright? Well, kung ito po ay online materials, e-learning, madali nga naman kasi kung visual, talagang colored po siya. I don't know if meron pa bang mga laptops na black and white? May mga TV na black and white? I don't know, but I'm not sure. But there may be other places in the Philippines na black and white pa po ang ginagamit na mga gadgets. I'm not sure though. I'm not ridiculing though. I'm just saying na posibleng mayroon black and white. So, dagdag po yun na responsibility kay nanay. Dapat sasabihin niya, tignan niyo, manood tayo ngayon ng TV. Mga ganyan. So, pag hindi desirable kasing materials, mas maraming pang gogoyo, para bang pag-i-entice. There will be more enticing responsibilities coming from the parents para lang ma-engage or maging interesado ang bata to open a certain module or to engage in the online material. Okay? And finally, we have examined the materials for content coverage and accuracy and importance. It would be nice if you're a parent na pina-evaluate mo na ang binibigay sa inyo, definitely naman ang i-endorse ng mga schools na gagamitin ng mga magulang sa bahay, they have been evaluated. Kasi meron naman talagang ginagamit. Department of Education has, through the Learning Materials Development, forgot the bureau that does that, meron pong instrument na ginagamit. So yung instrument na ginagamit sa pag-evaluate ng content, coverage and accuracy of the importance of the materials po. So ginagamit po nila yon. So I would say you can trust the endorsement of the school and the teachers because they go through the process of actually evaluating the content coverage and accuracy and importance of certain materials, which I did with these materials. All right. So if you would like to purchase some of the copies of the Vibal Supplementary Learning Materials, you can visit like Monday this Monday I unboxed the Learning at Home series. Makapal po siya kasi nandiyan po yung mga major subjects. Okay. Tapos we have the Smart Wizard series, which I will unbox on Friday. And we have the Smart Class series. And then we have existing academic books. Probably by next week. I'm not sure if this is going to be a regular schedule for Vibal with me so that I can, somehow guide teachers and parents out there how to utilize certain materials already out there. And then they can, mesh them together. So if you're interested, you may want to go to shop.vibal.group.com. All right, and or probably you can just click the link there. How can you click? Or just go to their Facebook. I think it's there. So, Kia, I think I'm ready to answer certain questions.
Okay po, Doc. So, I've already checked our comments and we have here some questions. First question po, Doc, from Miss Clariza Chavez. Sir,
Ah,
paano po dito sa public school? Ang mga magulang po ay illiterate po. Karamihan po sa kanila ay nagtutuhog ng sampagita at yung iba po labandera. Paano nila matuturuan ang mga anak nila?
true. Kaya nga po, yan ang challenge sa mga educators. Kasi yung tong homeschooling na to, this is for the teachers and the parents. Kaya lang problema nga naman, the teachers cannot be at the same time in all the houses of their students. Um, Yun po ang mangyayari. Ang mangyayari po niyan ay siguro kayo na po ang magka-craft ng schedule para sa mga magulang. Like halimbawa, ito yung schedule ng mga bata ng time ng kanilang pag-online or paggamit ng module. Yung nakablanko po ay sila na, ang mga magulang na po ang mag-fill in ng schedule. So, pero importante pa rin po na tutulungan yung mga magulang na maka-accomplish ng schedule for the home. Which para magkaroon ng scheduling na may responsibility, especially for houses na working ang mga magulang at mayroong mga nagtitinda and so on and so forth. They do schedule their kids at times sa mga tindahan nila o alagaan ng kanilang mga nakakabatang kapatid. Dapat ipasok din sa schedule. Pero ang gagawin nyo na lang po, sige, ma'am, ito po yung aming sheet para sa inyo na nakaschedule. Ito po yung mga time na dapat ang mga bata ay ginagamit ang materialis na to or mag-online po sila at saan po nila gagawin po yun. Tapos yung mga blanco po nun po, kayo na po maglagay kung anong ginagawa nila sa bahay. Po. Ngayon, pag nilagay niyo po yun doon sa schedule na sa mga blanco at yung galing po sa amin, galing po sa teachers yun sa public school, ang gagawin niyo po sana, dapat po ay you have to be firm na masusunod po yung schedule kasi gusto po natin na matuto ang mga bata regardless of the situation where they do not go to school. Okay? So, I think that's the suggestion I can give you on that question too, Ma'am Clarissa Chavez. Thank you very much. That was very good question coming from the public school system.
Okay po, Doc. Second question po, this is from Mr. Patrick Lorzani. Doc, can parents facilitate that by ourselves? Plain housewife po ako.
Yes, ma'am. Especially for this question, opo. Especially kung kayo po ay nasa bahay talaga full-time kayong housemaker, mas maganda po nga kasi mapapacilitate niyo po talaga yan. Clearly lang po ng schedule. Kung ang inyong mga anak po ay naka-enroll sa private school, you may want to ask the advisor of your kids, ano ba ang kanilang schedule, kung may mga online, kailan po yun, para klaro po yun. Tapos, kung hindi naman po naka-enroll, independent homeschool po sila, pwede kayo mag-purchase nga sa Vibal ng mga materials. Tapos you can schedule the use of the materials and the online materials. May be smart. And then once you purchase that, correct me if I'm wrong, Kia, may training na ibinibigay ang Vibal how to use these materials and create schedule. Thank you very much. And that's how I will answer, ma'am. Mas maganda ngayon kung full-time kayo kasi matututukan yung mga anak ninyo. Thank you very much, Kia. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Sir Patrick Lorzani for the question.
Okay po, Doc. And for our last question for tonight, this is from, I think, Ms. Marinila Dominguez. Hello po, in positive discipline, will it be applicable for teenagers or pambata lang po?
Yes, mas importante nga. Actually, yun nga po. The challenge there is that yung teenagers po natin, hindi dumaan sa positive discipline, yung talagang merong schedule araw-araw. It's high time na sundin po nila. Well, I think what's good thing about that is that bago to, ibig sabihin lahat ng kanyang mga kaibigan na nag-aaral din, magkakaroon din ng schedule. So hindi mafe-feel ng bata, kung teenager siya, hindi niya mafe-feel na ako lang meron ganitong klase ng buhay. So kagandahan ngayon sa nangyayari sa pandemic is that you can start, kung hindi sila dumaan sa positive discipline sa mga kabataan, which again, tama po kayo, positive discipline should be imposed at home and at school at a very young age para sanay po sila. Pero kung hindi po nagawa, kung wala po kayong mga trainings on parenting, kaya nga gusto ko sana ang Bibal po ay magkaroon po ng session on parenting, especially kasi at paano ba ang tamang pagdisiplina sa bahay na hindi naman kailangan sigawan ng mga bata and so on so forth. If we can have that, or I can just integrate that during my evening sessions every MWF, so I can help the parents there. The point there is that mas madali po natin matuturuan ng mga bata, ng mga teenagers sa positive discipline kasi wala po silang choice. Lahat ng kanilang mga kaibigan na nag-aaral ay magkakaroon po, naka-enroll po, ay magkakaroon po sila ng schedule na kapareho sa kanila. Ngayon kung magkapareho sila ng school, di magkapareho sila ng schedule. Kung araw na pagbubukas sila ng ng libro, wala siyang matatawagan ng mga classmate kasi mag-open din ang kanyang mga classmate o kabarkada ng libro. So, win-win solution po ang pandemic na to. So, is that what we call as the silver lining? Na sinabi na nga ni Catriona Gray. So, thank you very much po. Yun po yung sasagot ko po sa katanungan po ninyo for kung kaya ba sa mga teenagers. Yes, maging effective po siya ngayon dahil sa it's happening all over the Philippines. That's not just happening in your house. Thanks.
Okay po. Okay po. So Brother Ricky, that's all the questions we have for now. Do you have any final reminders for our viewers tonight?
Okay, final reminders would be, positive discipline in terms of using the schedule at home. I know that a lot of parents right now have went through this type of discipline nung sila ay mga bata. Nung palaging sinasabi ng mga magulang, panahon namin gigising ka ng ganito and so on so forth. It's because you've been raised on the positive discipline side. Kaya nga lang po may corporal punishment. But look at you now. Bakit kayo po ay disiplinado sa pagigising sa umaga, disiplinado anong oras sa pagtulog, disiplinado, yung meron kang drive na hindi ka na-addict sa television, hindi ka na-addict sa mga games and so on and so forth because ikaw pinalaki sa positive discipline through schedules at home or home scheduling. Ang mga bata po natin, siguro dahil nga may mga trabaho na kayo, nakalimutan nyo kung paano kayo pinalaki through home scheduling, hindi nyo na napalaki ang mga bata ng ganun. Or may mga yaya. Ang mga yaya naman, hindi naman sila nag-aral ng education or psychology, educational psychology para matutunan ng positive discipline. So importante po na this time around, gawin po nating positive ang effect ng pandemic sa bahay po natin. Let's not see it as let's see it as an opportunity to instill the discipline we wanted for our children. Na ito na po ang simula natin kasi wala pong magagawa eh. Ito po talaga mangyayari sa mga schools natin every day of their lives. Mangyayari po talaga ng gano'n. Kaya lang po Saturday and Sunday kasama po sa scheduling mo yun. Pero huwag ka na sana maglagay ng mga schedules ng learning sa Saturday and Sunday para pambahay naman sila at yung gusto nilang gawin. So it's more of negotiation. So when you do schedules with your kids, siguro the younger they are, there's less po ang negotiation. Pero the older they become, kung teenagers na po sila, sit down with them and negotiate. O sige, itong binibigay na schedule ng school ninyo. Kung itong school nagbigay ng schedule na mag-aaral kayo. O sige, alam ko mahilig ka maglaro ng mga games, saan natin ilalagay yung time na yon. So it's nice to remember that the older your children are, the more important it is for us to respect their ideas and respect their decision. And we come up with a schedule, it becomes positive on their because kasama sila sa paggawa ng schedule. So meron silang responsibilidad kasi silang gumawa nun. Later on, kung hindi lang nagawa, anak, ikaw nagsabi ng oras na gusto mo. O ano ba talaga ang gusto mo, babaguhin ba natin? O isusunod natin? So, one way or the other, na ibabalik mo sa bata kasi nga, part siya sa paggawa ng decision. That's why it's called positive kasi you don't have to resort to violence, to shouting, and so on and so forth. Later on, malalaman mo sila nang gumagalaw. Kaya nga, positive discipline through home schedule, naging self-propelled ang bata kasi klaro ang schedules nila. Alright? So thank you very much for tuning in and I have fun sharing these ideas. Ito po ka rin kasi ang kinalakhang kong scheduling sa bahay. Sanay na sanay ako sa bahay na may schedule talaga. Kaya lang pag napupunta ako sa mga places, sa mga bahay na walang schedule, naiinis ako pag nasisira ang schedule kasi nasanay ako na may mga schedule. So with that being said, thank you very much for listening and for trusting me to be here. You may call me Mr. Ricky. Okay, so I'm a brother. I'm a religious lay. So thank you very much for listening to me and I hope to see you on Friday. I'll be talking about positive discipline through the development of executive functions. Paano natin, may schedule na tayo. Paano ko i-condition ang utak ng bata? Na paano ko siya i-condition na meron tayong pre-wiring of the brain na hindi nila alam na inuutusan mo sila pero nautusan mo na pala sila. Okay? Yung mga ganun pag-usapan natin sa Friday. And then I'll be unboxing another module series from Vibal na pwede natin gamitin sa schedules natin. With that, thank you very much. I had a blast with you, and it's always an honor to be with you and to share my ideas and to entertain your questions. So good night and see you on Friday night.
There we have it. Thank you so much, Brother Ricky, in behalf from all of us here in Vibal and all our Kavibal viewers. Thank you again for this very fruitful session with you. And of
Thank
course, to all our Kavibal viewers, sabi nga ni Brother Ricky, we'll see each other again on Friday and the other webinars that we will be having for tomorrow until Friday and Saturday. Muli po, maraming salamat at magandang gabi sa ating lahat.
you.